Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Skymetal Iron Gods, Chapter 1 Fires of Creation, Part 19. Welcome. In just a few moments, we're going to turn things over to our Game Master Vi. But first, a couple of quick announcements. Besides this game, which happens every other Tuesday, um, right here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have a Monday night Pathfinder 2E game that is rapidly coming to the conclusion. We just had episode 101 last night. And we're about 3 or 4 episodes from the grand finale of that campaign. Um, we're going to take about an undetermined amount of time, a couple weeks to a month of a break, and then a new campaign will be beginning in its stead. Another Pathfinder 2E game will be taking place on Monday nights. And of course, on Thursday nights, we have our Kids on Bikes Welcome to Paradise Academy Season 2 of our Welcome to Paradise Michigan campaign series. We just wrapped episode 21 or 2 weeks ago. We were off for the 4th of July holiday. Or did we? We didn't play, did we? I can't remember what happened. Well, no, we did not play. And we are not playing this week because several of the players are not going to be around. Though we're going to be around each other, just not in their home places where we can play the game online. But we will be returning next week on the 18th. And I surprised Carrie when I said this. So, Em, this may be a surprise to you too, because I haven't made the announcement in the Discord yet. When we return on the 18th, we will be having a guest player joining us for several episodes. And we're really excited. He's very excited. And we spent 2 hours on Saturday. He came over to my house and we built his character. So we're starting a new arc. Perfect time for a guest to come in and stir up the pot. It is not Dwight. Uh, actually, I can go ahead and say who it is because there's no great surprise. You would know him from the chat as Doghammer, or Doghammer 13 or 31. It is my friend Craig, who I went to high school with, graduated high school with. We reconnected last year, and this man has binged every single episode of that game. So that puts him in a unique position to be able to reference things that have happened throughout the campaign because he knows everything that's happened. So we're really excited about that, and that game in general. As with this, I like having just a couple of core games that we run on the channel because every one of them is so unique. Every one of them is a different system too. That's the first time we've done that in a long time. Usually it was all D&D. Now it's D&D, Pathfinder, and Kids on Bikes. So, take a look up above my head here. You will see these domain relics. Those are something that you, the viewer, can contribute to, or as you're seeing from the last 2 subscribers, sometimes the players who resubscribe. We like to pad our own domain dice. Domain dice are a way that you, the viewer, can impact the game by cheering 500 bits, tipping $5, subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs. All of those will earn us domain relics every time. You'd think I'd be consistent in the tense. We can use those 1 to roll with advantage, 3 to re-roll, 5 to force the DM to re-roll, and we were burning through them for re-rolls in our last game, which was an epic 2-hour battle. that saw everyone. I think almost every one of us got dropped at least once, if not twice. Um, so uh, that's where those dice come in handy. Um, we are adults playing, in this case, as fantasy characters, fictitious characters in a fantasy setting. Um, you might hear in our games depictions, graphic depictions of violence, intense, dramatic role play, sensitive topics that include but are not limited to divorce, bullying, alcohol, substance use and abuse, a whole variety of things. If we know that there's going to be something of a particular nature, we try to provide a specific content warning if we can. But just know that these are intense games, and if that is something that is doesn't appeal to you, feel free, and we encourage you to take care of yourself and leave the stream. But with that said, it is important to note that we, at our game table and at all of the MTD streams that you see here, we have session zeros where we cover things like lines and veils, and we talk about safety tools. In our case, we use something called the traffic light system. But there are a number of other safety tools that are available. And we encourage you to use session zeros and safety tools in your own games to ensure that everybody has a fun and enjoyable and safe experience around the table. Whether you are playing in a campaign, running a one-shot, streaming, or it's a private game at home with your friends, you should be running a session zero and putting safety tools in place. If you'd like to see what some of these safety tools are, you can check out the URL bit.ly/TTRPG safety toolkit. Wonderful resources that some folks have put together in a Google Drive, including the traffic light system and the RPG consent checklist that we use in most of our games. Finally, as before all of our games, we like to let you know that you matter. Mental health is something that is extremely important to me and to those of us here at Mini Terrain Domain. And we want to make sure you're doing okay. We want you to know that the world is a better place with you in it, but we understand that sometimes you struggle. Sometimes you need somebody to talk to. Or maybe you have a friend or somebody you know that is struggling. The most difficult part about that sometimes is figuring out where to start. I know that was for me. So we try to make it as easy as possible here. At any time, you can type !help, as I have just done, and I believe the message pops up about once every 20 minutes or so in the chat. But for those that are watching on the VOD and may not be able to see that, the URLs are findahelpline.com, or you can check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those sites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. With that, I am going to turn things over to our Dungeon Master, Vi.
Thanks, Jake. We will pick things up deep below the earth in this strange complex made out of impossibly wrought sky metal, forming these strange chambers and this complex deep beneath the earth. You've taken a long rest, licking your wounds, bandaging yourselves, after a grueling climactic battle against a strange figure named Mayenda, who is what appears to be a Lord of Rust. You're not sure to the extent of what that means, but you've captured her, knocked her out, and this is the long rest that you're having now. Veris, you've been picking through the technological artifacts that the party has accrued over the journey here. I imagine they're all like poured out, splayed on this table in front of you, and you're fiddling with them. And I've created a document for all of you of what these Skymetal artifacts are and what they do. The long and short of it is that they all seem to be powered by charges, electrical charges, in the form of batteries. So if you want to be using these technological artifacts, you'll be having to have batteries on your person to use them. But you've gone ahead and restored your hit points and gathered your senses and probably distributed out these artifacts based on who best fits them and fits their uses. Daeralei, I'm going to focus on you here for a bit. You have the Lord of Rust Mayenda here, captured, bound, unconscious in this chamber. You know that Yrsimagor is right outside the door, kind of blocking any kind of exit that Mayenda could make. You have been watching over her during this long rest because you, a member of the subterranean elves, can enter a trance instead of sleeping for your rest. And so you've been alert this whole time, keeping guard. And at the end of this long rest, you would notice, Daeralei, that Mayenda stirs. Her eyes open. She seems dazed, confused, injured, disoriented. The blue circuitry that flows underneath her skin pulses to life once more. She looks at you.
As soon as she stirs, as soon as I notice her stirring, I'm immediately down in front of her, dagger to her throat, and I whisper in her ear, "Don't move."
She has a fierce look to her as you have this knife pressed to her throat, her arms bound. "What do you want with me?" she says in a bitter, fierce, almost like she's preparing to spit at you.
Information.
Ha! Like I'd give that up.
You don't have a choice.
What, just you and me here?
Why are you here?
I serve the will of my Lord Hellion. And that is all you need to know.
What does he want with this place?
He has something that he wants. And as his favored one, I am here to retrieve it for him. She
What
says
is this
proudly
thing?
and smugly.
What are you trying to retrieve?
The fact that you don't know tells me a lot about you, your character, and your skills. I'm not going to tell you.
I press the dagger just slightly to make that little blood drop. Enough of that. What have you done to Cassandra?
Cassandra? Who? She seems confused by this name.
Oh, don't play coy with me. What have you done with her?
Roll me an intimidation roll, please.
Oh dear. I rolled a nat 1. It's
Do you
so a total
want
of
to
8.
use
I
some
don't
of
think I
these?
do. I think we're going to let this one fail. And see what happens.
You try your best to look menacing or intimidating, and she laughs at you.
I will press the dagger harder into her neck.
I welcome death. This is not the first time that I have died. So shall certainly not be the last.
Not if I have anything to say about it. I could do this all day. Weeks for even. So you will answer me. What did you do with Cassandra?
I don't know that name. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, we'll have words. What
Roll
about
me an insight
unity?
roll, please.
Okay.
Roll me an insight roll, too.
How about a 6 on the insight? I must be just woken up from my trance. I'm not doing very good today.
Unity, that is a name that I know.
Of course you do.
He is the enemy.
Oh, interesting. And yet you say you have not heard of Daeralei. Now that I know must be a lie.
She gives you another look that, if you had a higher insight roll, you'd be able to place what kind of look it was. But she gives you a certain look that you can't really quite place. As she pauses to listen to what you have to say. Listen, I think that I think we're at a bit of an impasse here.
Yes, if you're not going to prove useful, then I should just get rid of you. Why did I hear Daeralei come from your mouth when you lost consciousness? What did you do to her?
Roll another insight roll with advantage this time. As a look grows upon her face.
Oh, thank goodness for the advantage. That's a dirty 20.
She gives you a look. This is the first time that she's given you this look. A look of weakness. A look of, I don't know what's going on right now. A look of confusion. She tries to recollect herself again. I don't know what you're talking about.
Your body is not your own, is that what it is? Your mind is not just yours?
I don't know what you're talking about. I am the Lord of Rust Mayenda. I am Hellion's favored one.
And so you're ignorant. You don't even know what's happening to you. You don't even know what you've done.
She
And
squirms
you're
a
the
bit at this.
favored one? Please, you're pathetic. When did you get here?
That is a very good question. Let me pull up my notes. I got here. Oh, what? 2.5 weeks ago? No. Yeah, 2.5 weeks. It's hard to tell the passings of day and night here below the earth.
Some, maybe. I guess those who are ignorant and don't know their own mind. So either you are very, very unprepared and stupid, or you know more than you're saying. You say you don't know Daeralei? I know for sure. She knows you.
You said that I said something.
Oh, you've said many things.
What was it that I said?
Oh, like I'm going to tell you. We could both play this game.
I will tell you what you would like to know. If you tell me that, how does that sound?
You first.
Ask away.
What does Hellion want?
To conquer the world.
What does
And to
Hellion?
raise the false lord of Silvermount.
Yes.
And I am one of his hands, his agents in this world.
And what did he send
Now
you to
your
retrieve?
Your turn. What did I say? How
You said, I am Cassandra Lee. My turn. What did Hellion send you to retrieve from her?
She kind of squirms at your what you said, the I am Cassandra Lee part. She kind of like, you can see that she's like kind of flipping it over in her brain a little bit. A look of confusion washing over her face. Then she listens to what you have to ask her again. What it was that you asked her.
What did Hellion send you to retrieve from this place?
Power.
I just stare at her, waiting for more.
Power. That great humming machine down there. She kind of like gestures with her tied up body.
Is she gesturing towards where the
giant purple thing?
Okay, yeah.
The giant purple thing on the far east side of the complex down here.
What does he want with it?
He needs power to enter our world. To take his rightful place as the grand machine of war. Your turn. Did I say anything else?
Yes, you did. My turn.
She looks visibly frustrated. She furrows her brow at this one, as in like a "you got me" kind of furrow.
So, this power he sent you to retrieve, less of a retrieval, a more of a just turn it on sort of thing. I can't imagine you carrying that thing back out.
Don't you saw it in the thick of our encounter? But I installed a great machine onto that reactor, a power relay. And from it, my great Lord Hellion siphons the power of that furnace to power himself. I imagine that's why you're down here,
No, we're here for a completely different reason. My turn again.
She grows frustrated from this.
Have you interacted with the technology on this? I guess I wouldn't say the technology. The magical instruments of this place. Have you injected yourself with things?
She looks confused. What do you mean by this?
Why is Cassandra Lee inside of you?
She squirms once more. I am not Cassandra Lee, she says, yelling at you. I am not whoever you say I am.
I'm afraid with that we will have to disagree because you are who I say you are. You did talk as Cassandra Lee. These are not things to dispute. They are facts. And if you don't understand, then what good are you?
She mutters under her breath a phrase. The red ghost. She's trying to recall a memory, it seems. She shakes her head. I am Mayenda. I am Mayenda. I am Mayenda. I am Hellion's favored one. I am a lord of rust. I am his faithful. I am his hand. And you can hear the way that she's saying it. She's saying it for herself. Not for your benefit, but for her own. And she'll continue saying these mantras under her breath.
When Mayenda yelled out at Daeralei, would we have heard that in the other room?
Yeah, all three of you would have heard it, probably jumping to a start, or
'Cause
at least.
I think at that, I would go to the door and if you didn't lock the door, I would open it and just kind of stand there in the frame. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I totally wouldn't have locked it. And I think I was probably about to turn to actually call for you when I see you at the doorway. And I'm like, I just kind of gesture that you can come on in, maybe flank her. You can see that I still have the knife to her throat. There's probably a little dribble of blood going down her neck at this point because I have pressed into it.
Have you broken
But
her
she
yet?
is just chanting. Pardon me?
Have you broken her yet?
Not quite. She's almost there. As you can see her probably saying her mantra over and over and over again.
Has she told you anything of
Is there anything
use?
you wish to know? Somewhat. There's a power relay on that purple humming machine. We'll need to remove it. And I say that loud enough that I can try to get through her mantra.
I'll leave that for you. I don't know what a power relay is.
Hellion will find another, she says, as a retort to you saying that you're going to remove it.
He'll have to find another favored, too. Cassandali.
I am not Cassandali, she grunts at you.
I'll just laugh at her.
If she's
Do you have dreams? Mayenda, who is not Mayenda, but is Cassandali?
Of course I dream.
Do you dream of another world, another person? Dreams that are not your own, perhaps?
Roll an insight check for me, please.
Ooh, 19.
She says no, and it's a shaky, defensive no. The no of a liar.
So you have.
She looks sidelong, breaking eye contact with you.
And in these dreams that you say you don't have, what are you doing?
I don't know. I don't know what to think of them.
Well, how about you just describe them?
They're not me.
And yet?
When I have these strange dreams, It's a place deep below the earth. Another place. A jungle I know I've never been. The third one. The third dream I have. I'm standing atop a hill. I'm running. I look to the back of me, turn around. I see a silver mountain. It is always large. I can never get away from it.
Why do you want to?
I don't know.
Are you afraid of it? Are you running from it? Or are you running from something in it?
I don't know, she says
But
sternly.
you don't have the feeling of from what? Are you panicked? Are you fearful? Are you angry? Are you joyful? What do you feel in that moment that you're running?
Righteousness.
Mm. Are you running to something or from something?
From.
And yet you feel righteous in doing so.
Yes.
Are there other dreams? Or
Those are
just
the
those
three.
three? This jungle that you've never been. Is it you who have never been, or you in the dream who have never been?
Me. I have never been. Just some made-up dream jungle. An idle fantasy, nothing more.
And how do you feel when you're in the jungle?
Alone. Cornered. Death awaits me.
I'm sorry, I missed the first one. I forgot what the first one was.
Alone, cornered, death awaits me.
Oh, okay. When did you start having these dreams?
As long as I have been.
Interesting. And I will make sure I say that out loud long enough for her to hear. As long as you remember. As long as you have been. Meaning from the last time you died or from previous?
I do not remember my last life. I know I was Mayenda, servant of Hellion, his chosen. He rescued me from death alone, saved me, cared for me, nourished me, nurtured me.
And so when you started this life, you started it as a full-grown whatever you are?
She squints in a way that like betrays a yeah from her. Hellion told me that I'm special, immortal. When I die, I come back once more, reincarnate, resurrect. That is how he was able to save me.
So this is why you are not the proper designation.
She looks confused at the phrasing of this. What?
Never mind. I think I turn to Yrsimagor at this point. Daeralei has kind of run out of the questions that she wanted answered. And then turns to him like, is there anything else you'd like to know? Anything more about this place?
I crouch down so that I can be a little, still probably a little over or above her, but a little closer to her face. Do you know Kulgara, Lord of Rust?
She smiles at this. Of course I know of Kulgara. A mighty warrior. My sister, Lord of Rust. I remember she had a weakling brother. I was a fool to offer him a seat as a Lord of Rust.
He would have been a fool to accept such a seat. What is Kulgara's...
Why do you care about this Kulgara?
What is Kulgara's part in all of this?
She, like me, is a hand of Hellion. His will made manifest here in Numeria.
How many hands...
She is strong and brave and glorious.
How many hands
I knew
does the
I'd
Lord
pick
of Rust, does the Lord Hellion need?
Many. For his deeds are great, his vision mighty.
His trust in each one of you is weak. So he fills the field with more. They're nothing special.
I picked them. I chose the Lords of Rust. They are anything but weak.
What is Scrapwall's involvement in all of this?
That is the birthplace of his kingdom. There Scrapwall toils beneath us, servants of his will. It'll be the first of many to fall under Hellion's domain.
Hellion and Scrapwall have bided their time. You've bided your time. Why strike now? What is different about now than weeks or months or years before?
The great work being put into motion. He has been working this whole time, not biding, not waiting. No. Dominoes falling, pushed by a hand many, many years ago. Things happen as they do because they must, for his great work. Of course, you would not see this grander picture. You are made of meat, after all, flesh and bone. The flesh is weak.
So says the woman who is not who she thinks she is.
I am Mayenda.
Cassandali.
That name means nothing to me.
But it should. And that is the weakness of you. And then it just turned to Yrsimagor to keep going because
I'm kind of looking at
throw
you
her off.
like, just giving you this like, what are you talking about? Whenever you mention Cassandali, if you serve Hellion, and you say that you handpick all of the Lords of Rust, does that mean that you're the one who's in charge? You said you were his favored.
The Lords of Rust, we have many different tasks, carriers of many different wills, but yes, I am his favorite lord. He trusts in me like he trusts in no others.
if he trusts you so much, then why did he take away who you were and make you into
He did not
somebody
take away
else?
who I am. He made me what I am.
Exactly, he
And
made you what you are.
She struggles, yeah, and she realizes the mistake in her wording. Him, the red ghost. I've heard the name Cassandali before. Uttered from her lips. I thought it a dream, but it's too real.
This red ghost that you speak of, that's who you heard it from?
Yes.
Where did you encounter this red ghost?
If Hellion is my father, then the red ghost is my mother. She is another Lord of Rust. Secretive she may be. Her affairs are below the earth, not above.
And what did she say to you of this Cassandali when she mentioned it?
She was not speaking to me. I was asleep.
I'll just give her that cold stare again, like, I asked you what she said.
Give me an intimidation roll, please.
Okay.
And she is not willing to divulge any further.
Oh, that's a nat 20 this time for 27.
Hellion said that I was special. That I knew something about the traitor Cassandali, his sister. I knew nothing of this woman, but Hellion insisted that I knew something locked away within me. And so he asked the red ghost to get it out of me, what I know. And so they put me to sleep, asleep willingly. I do not know what they found within me. I remember not the words that the two of them said to each other as I lie comatose upon the table. just the name Cassandra. And so they are right then. If you say that I have some knowledge of Cassandra within me, then my faith in Hellion is ever boldened by this. That he knows more than even I can imagine. That his work is great and his power is mighty. And he shall be the Lord of all that will be and all that is.
And he is the traitor.
A traitor of what? The false Lord of Silvermount? Unity?
If he tells you it's the false lord, then you know, or you should, that he is then the true lord. And everything Hellion is doing is because that traitorous bastard could not see it and wanted the power for himself. Unity is his father. If Cassandra is his sister. He calls her traitor, which just shows how much of a traitor he is, to go against his entire family, to seek this power for himself. And the worst of all, he's a traitor to you. He has lied to you. He has made you what you are right now and taken from you who you are.
Perfect.
Perfectly pathetic. You don't even know who you are. You only know the lies he's told you.
She resigns herself to a bit. You can tell that this conversation, the words you've said, have taken root within her. Doubt is beginning to spread through her mind, and though it resists, you can tell that a seed of something is growing within her. For the time being, she is silent and refuses to talk much more.
Yeah, I think at that point, I would pull back the dagger. I know that this session is basically over. I'm not going to get any more out of her. I've broken her as much as I can. Putting the seeds of doubt in her mind is as good as I can do at this moment. I'll let her sit with that. And so I get back up and I go to sit back on one of the bunks.
I look at Daeralei as I stand up. I move towards the door. And then I point at you and then motion for you to follow me. And
Yeah.
I step outside and back into the other room.
Yeah, I want to make sure there's no way she can get out of this room, right? Like,
one door in, one door out.
or out. Yeah. Then I will look at her one last time. Oop, I'm trying to move it from on our overlay here. That's not how I move myself. I would move myself out of the room, close the door. I don't know if we can lock it from this side, but I would love to if we can.
You can even just like push one of the chairs up against it if you want.
Yeah, like
as soon as the door closes, I'm not forcefully, but I place my hand on your chest to stop you.
Oh yeah, I fully knew you want to talk to me, so I was not going anywhere.
You seem to know an awful lot about this Hellion. His family, his motivations. Why do you know so much?
To be fair, I knew nothing. I was just bullshitting. But just going from what she was saying.
Insight check.
24 on my
Natural 1. I believe
I'm very
you.
believable.
You were
I knew
very
nothing.
convincing.
I knew nothing of Hellion until I spoke to her.
Who's this
Cassandra?
Cassandra?
I was sent here to look for her, as well as, Conir, as well as Conir Bane. I don't even know who this Cassandra is, but I was tasked with finding her, that I would find her here, hopefully. And I think, no, I believe I have. And she just kind of indicates to the doorway that we just left.
You think that she is this Cassandra?
I'm not sure if you were still awake or standing when the battle ended, but she said out loud, or did she say, she didn't just say it in my head, right? She said it out loud to everybody, right? That she was Cassandra, but this is not the right designation.
As someone struck the finishing blow upon her, she entered a kind of a strange seizure state. Her circuitry that flows beneath her skin changed in color to that of a light blue, like a sky blue. Her eyes rolled back, and she talked in a voice that was not quite her own, but similar, and gave that little speech that all could hear who were conscious. I guess even the people that were downed would still be conscious to hear it.
Which doesn't answer the question of who Cassandra is.
You're right, but makes me... I don't understand what is going on in here. I was tasked to find Cassandra. I believe somehow this Meenda, is Cassandra. And from what I gathered from our little talk there, Hellion found her somewhere, saved her from something, and made her into what she is now. So if she really is Cassandra, he's taken all those memories from her. And then what we just learned is that Hellion and Cassandra were brother and sister. Which kind of confuses me, because I didn't think Hellion was an actual person, but I'm learning such things.
There's more to
What do
Hellion.
you know of Hellion?
I kind of turn so that I'm addressing not just Daeralei, but Zaari and Veris. And I just kind of lean against the wall. I spent a long time in Scrap Wall with my sister. We fought tooth and nail, tusk and claw, for just survival. We fought our way from gang to gang until my sister defeated a powerful ogre and was viewed for her strength. We both were. My sister pledged herself to Hellion. And then she came to me with only Hellion's name on her lips, trying to convince me to join her. She wanted me to stand at her side as a Lord of Rust. Would I have remembered Mayenda as being somebody important at that time?
I don't think that you would have known of Mayenda at that time.
It's more like
Um,
my sister talked to, like she was the go-between kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
perfect.
You would have known of the Lords of Rust, and it makes sense that Mayenda could have been one of them for sure.
So, sorry to interrupt you, Yrsimagor, but are you then? Am I correct to assume that the sister and brother that woman was talking about was you and your sister?
That is why I asked after Kolgara. She was my sister. I was tempted with all that Hellion could provide. Vast armies, immeasurable power. My sister and I did not fight for our very survival and move to the positions we did so that we could be coerced by some demon lord. If we were going to claim power, it should have been under our own names. And so I refused. When I refused, I was left to those machines. Their intent to tear me apart. I would have liked to have seen the look of surprise on their face when they came looking for my body and found only pieces. Machinery. Hellion and the Lords of Rust are nothing but lies. Deceit. I don't know how far we can trust what she's told you.
Well, I trust. Strange. I trust what she said because she doesn't even know what she said. She is raving about the glories of this Hellion, and what you say is just verifying what she said. And it puts us kind of in a common foe. I knew not of this Hellion, but I am solidly against him.
When Mayenda was brought to her knees and on the cusp of death, that is when she called out his Cassandali name.
Yes.
If this is who she really is, perhaps the Lords of Rust can be broken free of Hellion. You can see Yrsimagor is almost, at this point, he's stroking his chin and thinking to himself now, it's dangerous. Bring him to the very threshold of death. That could be the key to freeing her.
You speak of your sister.
Yes. I had given her for lost.
I think if we can convince this one, if we can find out the truth about this one, and she's indicating the woman in the room, if we can I am not 100% sure, but I believe that she is Cassandali and that Hellion did something. And this red ghost, they did something to her. They made her into this Lord of Rust that we fought. I think if we can make her come back to who she should be, then she should have the power, the sway to maybe break Hellion's hold over your sister.
She said that she was made immortal by Hellion. That she was resurrected.
She said she was told by Hellion she was immortal. That would not surprise me, if I would say, if she is truly the sister of Hellion. I mean, they are obviously more powerful than I anticipate. I don't understand how she could be, but there's something there.
And you see Yrsimagor's hand slides down to his hilt of his sword. There's one way to find out.
True. I fear, though, if we kill her outright, we may lose any chance of finding out what happened with the Lords of Rust. That may all disappear, that knowledge, and with it, the potential to maybe sway your sister. I am not against it if it comes down to it. I will be very clear with that, but I feel that this Cassandali may be someone who does not die. But when she last came back, she came back with no memories of who she was because of what Hellion did.
Then what are we to do with her? Drag her around with us? I'll not protect her.
I don't know. I was hoping... Oh, go ahead.
During this time, Veris has been looking at all of... I assume we took everything from Miranda that she had on her, disarmed, everything like that. So Veris is looking at all of the different little bits and bobs that she has, especially the vials that she was injecting herself with. Is there anything he can glean? Any information? Anything useful?
We do know... Oh, I was just going to say before we started, you do know that that they healed her because we saw her in the fight, but that's about the only thing before we get going. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to see like how much maybe this could be used for what's his face?
Yeah, so she had on her she had her chain shirt that she wore, which you stripped of her, her +1 Inferno pistol, her cybernetic hand, which I don't know if you figured out how to remove or not. If she has it or not. She had a bunch of silver discs and gold pieces, and notably, what you're looking at foremost is her nanite hypo gun, which you've kind of like deduced and figured out. It is better than the other nano gun that hypo gun that you found earlier in the medicine cabinet. It's of a higher quality, even though it uses the same stuff. It heals a substantial amount and could probably even heal intense wounds and conditions. In game effects, it is capable of restoring someone as if from greater restoration, where your brown hypogun can only do lesser restoration.
Okay, so he thinks that it could save. I'm missing his name.
Conir.
Conir, yeah, Conir Bane.
Yeah. It's the best chance you got, is probably what you think most of it.
Sure. Like, this conversation is going on, and I think Veris pipes up and says, "Well, on the bright side, I am 85% sure that this will do the trick with curing Conir Bane of his affliction. Just trying to add a little bit of lightness to the mood." I, for one, don't think that we should kill her. I think that we don't know what will happen when we do.
I think we should take her hand.
We could leave her down here and have her keep the plant company.
Not a bad idea.
I'm not leaving her alone to escape.
What if we leave
We
her with
leave her
Conor
with-
Bane?
If we leave her with the plant can take care of her.
And by plant, you mean dirt?
Yes, I mean dirt.
I'm with Daeralei on this. I don't like leaving her behind, not knowing if she's going to escape.
And if you're only 85% sure.
You say that it is not a quite a good probability.
Well, it is, but it would waste our time if, in fact, that it was the 15% that was the accurate amount, and that we would get there and find out that it wasn't quite right, and then we'd have to come back here again. Do you see where I'm going with this? I would rather you be 90% sure, or 95 even.
Well, there is no way I can be 95% sure. You see, this is all very new technology to me. So there has to be at least a 10% variant of that. He says, is he like...
All right, I do see your wisdom in this, but one thing we must do before we go, she mentioned that she was sent here to get power for Hellion, and the power was to retrieve the power, and the power is that purple thing in that other room. And I was like, how are you take that back? And she laughed. Never mind. But what I'm trying to say is that she put a power relay on that device so that Hellion could siphon its power. So we must, at the very least, destroy that, remove it, somehow dismantle it or undo what she's done so that Hellion no longer has access to this power.
You see Veris kind of perks up, and he's gonna, without like excitedly go over, and he's gonna scamper over here and try and see what he can see from this power relay. Or try.
I see you scamper.
I'm
scamper
going
up the
to.
ladder.
I'm going to follow, but I'm going to pick up that unless somebody had already picked it up, I'm going to pick up that infernal pistol.
All yours.
Because having seen it in action, in my mind, it's the perfect tool to destroy something.
Yeah.
But I'll let Veris tinker first.
As much as Daeralei wants to actually go into that other room and see some things, she's not comfortable leaving Mayenda here alone. So I will stay by the door.
I'm not comfortable leaving Veris alone. So I'm going to follow Veris.
Zaari will stay with Daeralei.
Veris, you clamber up the the ladder, and you can see that what Daeralei said is true. There is some kind of apparatus that has been installed onto this great furnace, this great chamber set into the rest of the this room. This massive furnace takes up like from the floor to the ceiling. It is behind thick walls of glass. You can see a thrumming, humming, just vibrant amount of this purple flame. It looks like it is almost like opalescent to the eye. It is concerning yet beautiful, sublime. And there's this apparatus that's been plugged into part of the console. It is like that little power relay you found up in the warehouse. Has like a bunch of antennae sticking out of it. That you imagine are part of the wacky science used to relay power from one place to the next. You're not sure what kind of magic is used to transmit from one place to another, but you think those things are involved. As well as when you clamber up this ladder, this machine right here in front of you is what appears to be some kind of console attached to whatever great furnace this is. The one thing that you would know is that the purple fire that's inside this great chamber greatly resembles the fire of torch when it is a great bonfire above ground.
Speaking to that, I just had a thought while I was sitting there in the chair thinking about what Mayenda has told me. She was here. She's been here for 2.5 weeks-ish, give or take. When did the torch of torch go out?
Very slightly less than 2.5 weeks ago. Probably 2 weeks and 2 days ago.
Okay.
Veris is going to try to see if he can understand this transmitter. Like, where is it sending it? Like, yeah, he wants to try and understand as much as he can how it works.
Give me then an intelligence roll, please.
Just straight intelligence?
Just straight intelligence, yeah.
Okay. Do I have an ability I can use?
Do you have like comprehend languages or something?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. That's a ritual which you can cast, I believe.
Yep.
Which will give you advantage on this.
Okay. Okay, that's a 20.
So you look about at this this transmitter, and it's very similar to the one that you have or that someone has in the bag of holding that you have.
Mm-hmm.
What you notice is kind of funny is the little tiny little screen that displays the information on this transmitter. It's like a glaring error message that says, "Error, receiving unit lost," which lines up perfectly well with the fact that you disabled the power relay that was up above ground in the warehouse. You notice that there's like physical clasps that this giant power relay is like plugged into. And you imagine that if you were able to dig your little mouse fingers and pop off these clasps and get around any kind of like safety measures put in place, you could probably like pull this off easily. Though maybe not you easily, because you're a bit too small and feeble for this task. Because this giant machine looks quite heavy. It's like 5 to 10 times as big as you are, plugged into this giant reactor.
So he's gonna look at, like, does anything here look old, dusty? Like, can he tell if this piece was like recently put on, or if it? I think he's trying to figure out whether like Amanda put it there, or if she's just like tampered with it.
You can tell that Mayenda put it there rather than tampering with it.
Okay, so yeah, Veris turns to Yrsimagor, and I think I know how we can just take this off, but I do need a little bit of help. It looks a little heavy.
You see, as I'm holding this infernal pistol, and when you say you figured out how to take it off, you can see just a slight bit of disappointment as I reluctantly stow away the pistol. I mean, what you need.
So yeah, then Veris is going to kind of instruct Yrsimagor and help out with like the requirements that need, you know, a little bit more dexterity, and let Yrsimagor handle the lifting of the device off of whatever it's attached to.
This is going to be a joint skill check between the two of you. Veris, you can be providing the dexterity for this, and Yrsimagor the strength. So both of you, please, a strength roll and a dexterity roll. Sorry, like one from one. Veris, you can use sleight of hand proficiency if you have that.
Okay, then that's a 16 instead of 15.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a what check?
A strength roll, just to help lift this thing off.
Just straight strength?
Straight up strength. Veris got a 16.
Got a 12.
That is enough. Veris's nimble fingers is able to quickly, like you're kind of struggling to bear some of the weight. He's like, oh, you know, Veris like figures out, oh, it's actually this part that needs to unlatch. That's why it's so heavy for you. He like scampers about and unclasps another part, and you realize, oh, this is much easier to hold. Between the two of you, you're able to unplug, and you realize that bound on the backside, where this thing was plugged into the reactor, is this long, thick cable that's almost like a snake in width. And you kind of pull it off, and you can unplug this cable and set this massive power relay heavily onto the ground, kind of with a scraping and banging noise as it lands with a thud on the Skymetal floor of this place. It seems you have disabled and unplugged this power relay.
Does anything happen?
Nothing happens. Nothing happens differently, but I imagine that like you're probably like checking around for things that might have changed. The console here that you're up to the north of the reactor, it has some like very complicated menus that are being obscured by a massive pop-up window that reads very simply, danger, failsafe has been bypassed, reinstate? Yes, no. Which you can read with your comprehend languages, even though your Yrsimagor is a strange glyph text that no one here in the world can read, except for little Veris.
Veris clicks yes.
And all of a sudden, all of you feel a rumble. Zaari and Daeralei, you feel it from a few rooms over. Yrsimagor and Veris, you feel it even more so as there this hum in the air, and all of a sudden the purple flame within this reactor grows brighter and hotter, and we cut away for a moment. We cut away to seeing Torch, the landscape, the city atop this hill, atop Black Hill. We see the people rummaging about this now dying town. We look atop Black Hill, where the great bonfire of Torch once stood. And then we can feel it, the ground shake, the earth rumbles, and a great gout of flame, massive, multiple building stories high, erupts from the top of Black Hill. This massive geyser of purple flame erupts from the ground, incinerating anything that was inside that pool of bubbling muck that it once was. And there it roars and does not let up, a great, massive flame of Torch. We return then now to the scene below the earth, with Veris tapping a single button upon this console with his little mouse finger. The room still shakes from this energy.
I kind of imagine that it's probably about that time where Daeralei has that light bulb moment because she was thinking back of what Mayenda had said and how long she's been here, that kind of thing. And I think she goes into that room just as it starts to shake to say, hey, I think Mayenda was doused and then the room just starts to shake. And I think they just look at Veris and go, I think you might have done it.
Veris just like grins and his like little whiskers twitch as he's like looking around. And he's like, I believe I did it as well.
I think
Well-
85% might be quite enough.
Well, this has been very satisfactory. We found a potential cure for, we found a potential cure, and we managed to relight the fires of Torch. I feel very accomplished, he says, as he is crawling down from the ladder.
As you depart the console, you can see that the last message upon it is failsafe initiated, reactor stable, estimated time until reactor decay 10,472 years.
Well, we have a bit of time.
You scramble down and join up with the rest of the party.
So now what?
And
We go cure
So-
as the
Bane.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I
Yeah,
believe so.
I was just going to ask how much can you carry if you have a 15 strength? Because I was wondering if I could potato sack Mayenda.
Isn't it?
You could definitely carry Mayenda if that's like the only belonging. If that's like the only like really heavy belongings you're carrying, then carry her for sure.
Make her walk.
I think when you have a bag of holding, which you can stow the heavy stuff in. That is not a person.
I was gonna say either way, Yrsimagor or Zaari could carry her like a potato sack too.
Yeah, I don't want her. I think I'd rather knock her out before we go back, so that we carry her unconscious body up. It'd just be safer. That's what I suggest anyway.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and I'll carry her. I'll potato sack her. Because that way you guys are free to do the saving of all of us if that is what's needed.
So Daeralei, you go to knock out Mayenda with a swift blow to the head. You carry her up, and the party leaves this place behind, going back up to town. And as you leave this place behind, we're going to go ahead and take a break ourselves, and we will return. When we return, we will be returning to the town of Torch.
And we're back.
And so you have returned to the town of Torch, leaving behind the Black Hill Caves. You have in tow Mayenda unconscious on your shoulder. The rest of you with your arms at your sides and carrying out all the loot and yourselves, most importantly. Where is it that you're trying to get to in town? As you finally see sunlight for the first time.
I think we're not wasting any time to go give the healing. Right?
Yeah, I think we go straight to I've forgotten the daughter's name because I'm terrible with that, but her house.
You round the corner, leave the pond, and there you see it in full atop the hill. The great, massive fire atop Torch's highest hill. It burns 10 times higher and brighter than you remember it ever having been. It would flare up like this maybe once a month. And that is a great cause for celebration amongst the people of Torch. And here you see it. It's a great celebration as well. People are climbing out of their homes, pointing out windows, pointing out the torch has been relit. The torch has been relit. Look atop Black Hill. The flame has come once more. They did it. They did it. You hear people yelling and chatting about the flame returning to Torch once more. You cross the bridge going up to the upper part of the town of Torch, uptown of Torch. You go to the Foundry Tavern, which is attached to the home and residence of Conir and Val Bane. You go to her workshop. You find the hidden bunker that you were pointed out earlier. This bunker that you had kept Conir Bane unconscious. And as you're clambering down into this bunker below the earth, this cellar almost that's reinforced with scraps of Skymetal, there you see council member Conir Bane, his jet black hair, his scarred but weathered but clear skin, lying unconscious atop one of the bed, a cot that's in this room. His daughter, Val Bane, blonde-haired, short-cropped, is sitting next to him on a chair, holding his hand. She looks up at the sounds of your coming down. She has her hand readied on an Inferno pistol of her own, but she recognizes the four of you as you descend. So, anything? Anything at all? She asks of you. He's still not responsive. He hasn't woken up yet.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we do believe that we have found something that might be able to
Do it already! She cuts you off.
Hey.
She says excitedly, though a bit hurried and probably a bit too forceful than she was intending, as she stands up from her chair and steps back, giving you access to Conir Bane's body upon the cot.
I think at this point, we'll gracelessly drop Mayenda into that, like, I don't know, some chair, to get the weight off. And while doing it, we'll just say, be warned, we're only 85% sure.
That's better than what the priest said. He said that no priestly magic could heal him at all. She glances at the unconscious body that you've dropped into the room. Are you going to heal her too? Who is she?
Well, no. But Veris will attend to Conir, and if anyone can cure him, it will be Veris. I trust him in this.
Well, what did you find? Do it already, she says.
Yeah. Veris is like, I do have smaller legs than the average humanoid. Just give me a moment. He says as he's like been this whole time just like walking towards Conir Bane, getting out his what is it called? The
hypo gun.
Hypo gun, yeah. That Mandra had on her, and with a deep breath and kind of a quick glance back to the others, he looks back at Conir and plunges it in.
And so this uses up a dose of nanites and 5 charges of energy cells. Half a battery. So whoever's keeping track of how many charges you have, deplete 5 of it. As you inject this like silvery serum, you see it go down and spread throughout his body from the injection site. You can see it underneath the skin. It crawls as if it's made of spiders or bugs throughout his body. Not like it's been circulating by his own blood, but of their own volition. A moment goes by, and another moment. He sharply inhales. He reaches up for his head. Oh, my head. Oh. He tries to get up, grunts. Val, his daughter. Father, you're awake. And you can see a smile creeping across his face as he recognizes the voice. She goes in for a hug, and the two of them embrace, both conscious and awake. How did you save me? He says to his daughter. It wasn't me. It was them. And she gestures to the 4 of you. He looks a little bit like dim-eyed at first, squinting, probably from some throbbing headache, like a migraine or something. His eyes go from one of you to the next. They linger on you, Daeralei. A look of recognition. He smiles to you, Daeralei, being... You're not sure if this is because of your shared history together, or because he knows that it was your voice that was in his head when he was comatose.
I just
Thank
smile back.
Thank you, adventurers. To have saved me from such a horrid place. You certainly are heroes. The torch, the flame of torch, is it still out? He asks.
Nope. In fact, this one, not only did he heal you, but he relit the torch.
He looks down at the hypo gun, now depleted, that you have in your hand, Veris. He looks inquisitively at that. May I see that? What was this? He asks to have you hand it over.
Yeah, Veris does. It's quite interesting. It's some type of technology and he's just gonna go into his little ideas. Immediately starts talking like about everything.
And you notice that Conir Bane matches your freak, one might say, matches your caliber, matches your squeak, and just throws this technobabble right back at you, fascinated and curious as well. Seems like some kind of nanite injector. Looks like a second grade, what's it, black grade nanite injector. Well, this could cure all kind of bodily ailments. Where did you find such a thing? I've ever seen brown designations in my lifetime.
This one had it, pointing to the unconscious woman.
Is she a friend of yours? You see that Conir does not recognize her at all. I've never seen her before in my life.
That is
I've seen a lot of people in my long life.
In her incarnation that we met her in, she was definitely not a friend. She was an enemy. But she is not who she thinks she is. In fact, I think she is a friend. She just does not know it yet. She's having a crisis of...
You don't need to dodge around the details here. I may be recovering, but I'm still me. Come on.
Yes, true. Have you heard of Hellion?
Hellion. That's a name that rings a bell. Oh,
Well,
Hellion. Oh, on a letter I received from my friend. And he kind of like, you realize like this morbid shock as he remembers the fate of his friends. Well, she did not answer. Well, she did answer. She sent me a letter in return when I sent out for all my friends and former companions to help me solve, well, the thing that you've very much solved. Thank you again for this. She said that she had work she was doing taking down a Hellion. I thought it's some name of some beast. I know that this land is full of strange monsters that even I, a foreigner still, would not know to this day. Hellion.
Hellion would like to be a god, or at least treated as such, and in so doing, he has got, and this is where Daeralei
One of those types.
would look towards Yrsimagor and say, and in so doing has made these Lords of Rust to help with this plan to gain him power, and this one is, or at least was, we hope was,
Oh,
a Lord of Rust, and she was sent here to take the power of
she was the one
Torch.
behind.
Yes.
She's responsible for the torch being out. How did she do
Yes.
it? What is?
Veris could probably explain more. It was some sort of power relay. That's what she said.
Fascinating stuff. Tell me more. You see that he's like
but-
upright in his like hospital cot, basically, like he uses blankets. Like he's just like, tell me more. Just very much fascinated by the stories that you have to tell.
Oh yeah, and then Veris again just goes into, yes, it was this power relay, and it was this and this kind, and there were, you know, all of these antennas and wires that were coming out of it, and going to explain like the intricacies of the panel and what it said, and all the buttons.
You're telling me there's this whole other floor to that complex, and it had a reactor. Oh, this. Do you know what this means? Do you know what this means, Veris? He kind of like grabs you by the arm. He kind of pulls back, realizing he's a little overbearing. How much do all of you know about the Reign of Stars?
Nope, but Veris takes out a notebook.
I don't.
Don't either.
Do tell us, Conir. It sounds fascinating.
He grins, happy to have a new audience for this. Well, imagine this. 5,000 years ago, at this very place, the land of Numeria, back before it was Numeria, back when it was just these barbarian clans barely forming towns and homes, the sky erupted. The stars fell down themselves and crashed, plummeted to the very earth here. They were no stars, no meteorites, but some great structure fell from the heavens. The biggest piece of all, that is Silver Mount. That Silver Mountain, north of us. You may have heard of it, Silver Mount, the capital of Numeria, Starfall, that has grown around it. But if what you say is true about what you found further in that complex, farther than even I was able to get, that means that pieces of that complex, they must have broken up in the sky, shattered by some unseen force, and scattered throughout the entire land. There'll be more ruins, not just at Silver Mount, but here under Torch and other places still. Oh, so then the piece that is at Scrapwall belongs to the same piece that is here, that is the same piece in the Scar of the Spider, that same piece that is at Starfall. It's all one big superstructure that destroyed ages ago. That is fascinating.
Yeah, Veris is furiously writing all of this down.
I think there would have been a moment when Cornelia was talking about the silver mount, when he's describing like Starfall,
Mhm.
the city,
Mhm.
that Daeralei's eyes and head would have turned to Mayanda's body lying there, because she mentioned the dream about the silver mount, and so somehow this is connected. But Daeralei's not interrupting Conair. He's letting him go on with the story.
I think that the mention of Starfall, I think a lot of people, probably everybody would hear like the leather creaking because Zaari's hands have balled up into fists at the mention of Starfall.
What seems to be the matter? You said her name is Zaari, right? What seems to be the matter, Zaari? Conir asks of you. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's
Starfall is just. Oh, it should be fun to go back home.
You're from Starfall.
No.
Oh.
No.
He gives you a suspicious look when you say that it's home.
That is where my... And the way that she says this next word, it comes with a mixture of like bitterness and sadness. Where my clan made landfall. And my chieftain made himself the Black Sovereign.
Your chieftain is the Black Sovereign? The great Kevoth Cool? He was your chieftain?
My former chieftain, yes.
He looks confused by this phrasing. What do you mean, former?
He didn't like when I tried to advise him. Originally, I was going to be executed. But his queen, or I don't believe that's what she is now. She spoke for me. And I was banished.
Then you and I share enemies, then.
Do we now?
You and I are both enemies of the Technic League, then.
That we are, then.
It is a story for a different day, however. Time to rejoice, then. The lighting of torch. I'm sure that my other council members have offered you some bounty to do such a thing. I'm sure they'd be delighted to hear from you. I don't think I can move much here. I still feel feeble.
Oh.
He says as he tries to get up and he feels and then sits back down.
So about the council. I mean, yes, we should get paid. I mean, I'm all for that. We should tell them about Torch. But you should be aware that the council has been, I believe, infiltrated by some shady characters. Now, not sure who he is working for or what, to what end, but Garbage Man, or what the heck was his name? Garbage
Man.
It started with a G or something. I don't know. He's a piece of crap. We've
Joro?
I'm so bad with names.
I have a Councilman Joram Kyle written down.
Not Joram, but Joram. He's the Garment. That's why I thought it was garbage. Garment. He's infiltrated. He has got the ears of some of the council members, I believe. Garmin.
My good friend Garmin?
I think Daeralei at this point is just looking at him like, are you absolutely insane for what you just
go
said?
Way back.
Yeah, he tried to kill you. When we brought your very sick body back from down below, his men ambushed us with the sole purpose of trying to kill you. That is why you're down here in this bunker.
Pensive. He looks pensive about this. I knew that man was good on old promises.
Well,
he does not seem to be upset at all about this assassination attempt.
Well, he's promised to kill you. That's what you're saying?
Well, the cat's about out of the bag here. Garmin and I are both enemies of the Technic League. We know things that they don't want us to know. We have things that they don't want us to have. And we promised each other way back when, if one of us was to be compromised, we'd make sure that we are dead. The Technic League, they have ways of forcing things out of you, things that we do not want them to have. We cannot share them when we are dead.
So why would he try to kill you when we brought you back?
I hope he's making good on his promise then. My unconscious state. Comatose. And if I had fallen in the hands of the Technic League, everything would have crumbled.
What does he have to do with the Lords of Rust?
The Lords of... Those are those people you're talking about, the servants of Hellion, right?
Yes.
I have not heard of them before I woke up just now. I have no idea.
He's in league with them somehow.
I cannot see it to be the case.
Well, all I know is that the device that this woman put on the thing to stop the flame is the same kind of device that Garmin had in his warehouse. In a smaller scale.
I don't know what to say.
I just
if
warn
what you say is even true, he'd have a good reason for it.
I'll go into any negotiations with him with the eyes wide open, because I do not trust him at this moment. He tried to kill you, and we are not part of the Technic League. We were saving your life.
That means that the chance would have been there, though. Is the Technic League in town by chance? Did he see you speaking with them? Maybe he didn't know your intentions, your affiliations, your allegiance.
And I think at that, Daeralei is like, oh, shit. Was this just all a big fucking misunderstanding? Yes, the Technic. I don't know if they're still in town, but they were. They tried to talk to us. Whether he saw, it's maybe.
I think Veris. Daeralei, you should trust your nose. Something about this does not smell right.
I agree. I still don't trust the man, but maybe the whole trying to kill Conir was a mistake. I will leave that to you and Garmin. I have told you what I know. It's up to you to understand, but I don't have to trust him. Something is going on. He was in league with the Lords of Rust, somehow.
He seems baffled by this. He was in league with the one who extinguished Torch. That can't be true. I can't believe it. I cannot bring myself to say that about him.
Veris, you
and
explain.
If I could, it'd be a good reason. I trust that man. The things that we've done together.
Maybe
the things
we need to
saw.
talk.
Maybe.
Maybe this is just but another misunderstanding. I don't know. But I think... Veris, you could explain it better, what these power relays do.
Well, essentially it is going to take the power from, I assume, what was feeding Torch for a long time and reroute it to some kind of receiver that we found within Garmin's warehouse. There is no other option.
What was the power doing in the warehouse then?
Can you remind me, when Veris had looked at it, it was pointing towards something, right?
It was rerouting the power it was receiving to Scrapwall, specifically to something below the earth in Scrapwall.
Right. Yeah. So, Veris it seemed to be directing the power towards somewhere in Scrapwall.
Or was this
somewhere underground?
The one that you found in his warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps was it in there by accident? Was he fooled? Was he?
You are very much underestimating. You are underestimating this man and making him seem to be an idiot. I don't think that you would associate
yourself. He's not an idiot. He's the smartest man I know. There has to be something. Something doesn't seem right.
Could he not be succumbed to Hellions' will or whatever? And Veris makes a vague gesture with his hand. We have seen it before, where Hellion manipulates minds.
This one is a prime example.
Perhaps it is not your friend who is...
The only thing that wasn't in character for him that I can think of, I remember asking him if he wanted to be a part of my expedition below Torch, and he declined, but he seemed busy at the time. I didn't think of anything of it. Is he involved in all this? I can't bring myself to believe it. I can't.
We did just bring you back from the dead. I would highly advise that you not be, foolish and let your feelings and your emotions towards Garmin cloud your mind, lest you end up dead again.
Very well. I'll have some time. I'll have to take some time to think on this. I'm sure that everyone else will be happy to see me, though. he says as he tries to stand up, and he looks around. It's like he realizes he's kind of like barely clothed. All his my stuff. And he kind of like little light bulb appears above his head. Did you find my things down there?
I found your backpack and some things inside. I must admit we used some.
Oh, that's fine. I
But
understand that the
yes.
circumstances required it.
And basically Corner's backpack is on back. And Daeralei would give it, well, it would at least place it back. But it's missing the wand and the 3 scrolls and all of the healing potions because we used those up. And the wand and the scrolls I gave to Veris. So I will let Veris decide what they want to do about that.
And
He, like,
Veris says nothing about the wand or the scrolls.
He unzips the bag and rummages about in it. And he pulls out like his clothes and in his other gear, and he lifts up like this amulet. He kind of pauses and doesn't say anything else after that. He puts it next to him, and he kind of rummages about still. And I see that you used my scrolls and my potions and my wand. I hope it was useful for you down there.
Yeah, I would have actually said to him, like, those are the things that we used as I was passing it back. So it should not be a surprise to him that they're not there.
Seems he used my own gear better than I did. He kind of pats nervously on this, not nervously, but like contemplatively on this amulet he has on the sheet next to him. Well, I'm really not in the state to use this anymore. As he kind of hangs it up, like holds it up to the 4 of you. I think I'm too old to adventure these days. I want you to have this as my thanks for rescuing me. It is an amulet of health. It will keep your vitality and youthfulness and your health in top shape. Magically enchanted to make you, well, survive the worst of troubles. Survive the worst yet that is to come, I imagine. I'm putting all of this behind me, this adventuring and dungeoneering. I'm clearly not fit for it anymore. As he hands you an amulet of health. And this amulet, when you wear it, and I believe attune to it, sets your constitution score to a certain number. Yeah, requires attunement and turns your con score into a 19.
Oh, nice. Does anybody have a problem with Daeralei taking that one? Does somebody want it more?
I already almost have that high of a constitution score naturally.
Okay.
Let's say I have a +2 to my constitution, but Daeralei can have it.
That'll help me not die as much, I think.
Val, the daughter, speaks up. Thank you for rescuing my father. Listen, I know I can't give you much. This is all I can. She hands you a small pouch of coins. But if you're ever in town, you're free to stay here. My home is your home. Those spare rooms at the foundry, and well, I'll keep a few reserved, always for you. Even if we get busier in times to come, as the town rebounds back to what it used to be. Those rooms will always be yours.
Thank you.
And she hands you a coin purse of 20 gold pieces. And she said that this is not much, but it's all she has.
I think I just handed if Val handed it to me, I would hand it to Veris because at this moment I've always like Veris has kind of been the accountant of the party, take care of the money theft stuff because they seem very smart.
Yep, Veris will take it.
Quinier kind of like taps or pats his legs, like his knees. I'm sure you all have business you have to attend to. Thanks again. I can't say enough. My thanks, my gratitude for you saving me. Listen, if you ever, once this is all wrapped up, wouldn't mind you telling me more about the things you found.
Oh, we do need to talk, Conyer. I need to speak with you at some point, and we need to decide what to do with her. Looks at the unconscious woman.
I take it you have unfinished business with her then?
I do, and I need to talk to you about it because I believe
Well,
she is the person I am looking for.
I'm all ears. I'm not going anywhere, he says as he kind of flips around and tries to find a comfy way to recline on this cot while still being eye level for you or upright for you.
Do you remember how we met?
I do remember.
I don't. Can you tell me what you know? I just remember waking up on the back of your pony, but I don't know how I got there, where we were, anything.
Hugh, I remember. I made a long trip out of town to the Scar of the Spider, west of here. Many days ride upon. Oh, that pony. I'll miss her. She was a good animal. I remember you. You were in the jungle there, as I saw you out of the corner of my eye. I thought you were some beast that was going to jump out at me, as you caught me unaware, trying to get some samples of the water there. But you didn't move, and I realized that, well, you were half dead. Alive, but half dead. Covered in wounds, half of which I could not even describe. But whatever fate befell you, I couldn't just leave you there. I grabbed you and pulled you and dragged you through the muck. Hoisted you up onto the back of my pony and, well, I remember you coming too. Halfway our ride back. You were out for so many days. I thought that you would be, because you were gone for good, but, well, I remember you half awake. The night sky above us. It was a calm night. A cloudless night. A clear sky. Stars were out. And I got you to be able to eat just a little bit of soup by the fire. You didn't speak much to me.
Did I say anything in those early moments or while I was out?
There were 3 things that you said to me. 2 names I surmise and a word. You said the name Cassandra. I assume she's some acquaintance of yours. You said another name. What was it? It was Isuma. And
Suma.
the third word you said was unity, which still confuses me to this day. But I'm sure those words, all three of those, mean something to you. You didn't bring it up much since then.
When Konir says the name Isuma, do I get any sense of knowing it?
When he says the name Asuma, your brain kind of like gets jumbled up with synaptic static as you're kind of thrust into a flashback. A memory half formed, half forgotten, eaten away. You remember hearing a beeping sound that to the rest of us would, to modern day humans, would sound like a heart monitor. You remember seeing a pale face with a long skull, some kind of apparatus over her mouth. 4 arms she had as she was working, doing something surgical, medical to your skull.
Now,
You remember her working above you.
Sorry, this four-armed woman that I'm seeing, is that the same person that I remember seeing pulling me behind her going through a jungle?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Okay, and she looks also like those the people we first, like the ghosts,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's coming together. Asuma. Okay, carry on.
And that's kind of where the flashback ends, as you like coming into and out of consciousness with this pale-skinned, 4-armed, long-skulled creature working on your skull as you're prone upon some kind of table in a cave somewhere. We could hear the dripping of moisture, the phosphorescence of underground fungi, the sound of rain outside, and the beeping of that heart monitor before you fall back unconscious again.
Yeah, and I think as Konir's talking to me, I probably grip my head as I'm having this flashback, this knowledge, and then I would just look at him and like, that's it. Those 3 names.
That's the only words you'd say for a long bit, and then, well, you started speaking plain as day. I asked what happened of you, and you could not recall. And this is kind of like where your actual memory kind of kicks in. So you have a bit, it seems that you have some kind of like memory hole, some bit of amnesia, memory loss from this whole event.
Yeah, and I think at
And you,
that
like,
point too, I like touching the scars that are across my head and my face, the ones I mostly keep hidden, but Konir would know that they exist there, and I'm touching them while I'm having this conversation with him at this point. Well, after that memory, maybe subconsciously touching them. I'm not doing it on purpose. And I think that as soon as I realize that I am touching them, I kind of stop and I believe this one is Cassandra, or Cassandra is somehow inside her.
Who is Cassandra? I don't know anything about her.
Cassandra is Unity's daughter. And I was...
Unity is a person too.
I don't know, actually. I've just heard them, and they asked me, tasked me with finding their daughter, Cassandra. And I don't remember much. This Scar the spider, I don't remember how I got there. I don't know why I was there. I don't know what happened. I do remember this Suma that you say. We met figures like her in the complex down below.
What do you mean, figures like her?
Four-armed,
kind of-
pale-skinned, long-faced creatures. Not creatures, people. They were guarding. What do you remember of being down in the complex? Do you remember the desert-ish area where?
Yeah, with those four-armed skeletons.
Yes. Asuma was one like that, and I think
They called themselves Kasatha.
I think she might have saved me from something. But that's all I remember.
So there are others then? Other Kasatha than the ones below the earth?
Well, there is at least one. Asuma.
She. Within. If she is. Those Kasatha, it seemed like this structure was their home.
No. It was their prison.
I could not understand the word they said, but I remember seeing the caves. Their markings upon it seemed like it was their home. I do not know why they seemed to like that joining of deserts with sterile complex, but when you say it was their prison, then who kept them prisoner?
Whoever made the complex took them from their home, replicated it, and that is where they lived and could not die.
So then there was this desert of worlds
Mm-hmm.
above us, hanging in the sky, built by ancient peoples that plummeted to the earth. A prison below our feet.
This desert world was only part of the complex. It was a...
Yeah, no, there's more after it.
Yeah.
I remember opening the doors to the next section, and set upon us were these great automatons of Skymetal itself. I found one in the earlier section of the complex, but these ones were vaster and way more powered than the one that I brought back.
You brought one back.
Yeah, when I returned from my first expedition, I brought it back to my workshop, and Val nods along, and Val says, "Yep, the one that you had, it kind of went on the fritz, and the other group, the one that went before you, I had to put it down. It was causing quite a stir. It almost killed me." And she's relaying the encounter that you first had. By you, I mean you as players with your previous party. I don't know what happened to that group, though. Val says. I don't think they made it. Just like the other ones before them. This is the first group that survived the caves under Black Hill. That itself is worthy of praise, she says. The first after me, you mean, Conir says. And with that, unless you have any more questions for Conir Bane, I think things are going to wrap up to a close. So unless there's any other questions you'd like to ask him.
I'm good. I've got my answers. Well,
Cool. And with that, the 19th session of Skymetal Chapter 1 comes to a close. And it will not be Chapter 1, the Fires of Creation, any longer. For next session, we'll begin Chapter 2, the Lords of Rust.
The slightly neurotic part of my brain is disappointed that we ended this at 19, not 20. Even 18 would have been better, but I'll get over it.
my chaotic part of my brain is going, yeah.
Well,
I'll make Chapter 2 last 17 sessions just to help you feel better.
that would not make me feel better at all. That'd make me feel worse.
But it adds up to 36. Come on, that's a good number.
The 19 though is kind of our fault because we TPK'd and had to basically redo the first few levels again. But excellent. As I said, our next will be Chapter 2, Part 1, and that will be in 2 weeks, which will be the 16th of July at 8:30 p.m. And as a reminder, there will be no Kids on Bikes Paradise Michigan game tomorrow. We will be returning on the 18th. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody who contributed with resubs and bits, getting us some domain relics stored for. We will most definitely need them in the second chapter. Yeah, thank you for anybody who just stopped by to hang out with us. Even if you're lurking silently in the chat or you're watching later on the VODs, we appreciate you. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to everybody that sits around this virtual table. Thank you to our incredible Dungeon Master and Storyteller Vi, and to Kaeryn, Sara, and Em, without whom this would just be Vi talking to herself for a couple of hours. With that, we'll go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Metadata.